Hello everyone, in this video we will discuss about power diodes. So this is the construction of a power diode. Here we have N plus region, which means that this is an N-type material having high doping. So the plus indicates high doping. So here the number of donor atoms per centimeter cube are 10 to the power 19, and then over it we have an N minus region. So this is N minus, that means this is an N type region with light doping. So we have number of donor atoms 10 to the power 14 per centimeter cube, which are very low as compared to the concentration of donor atoms here. So this region is having high doping and this region is having light doping or very low doping. And then over it we have a P plus region, that again means a P type material having high doping. So the number of acceptor atoms are 10 to the power 19 per centimeter cube. So this is the structure of a power diode. So as you can see that a power diode differs from the logic level diode, because in logic level diode there are only two layers, P and N, but here N type layer is further divided into two different layers. One is N plus and one is N minus. Now this region, N minus region, is also known as drift region, and this is the main difference between a power diode and the logic level diode. And also the cross sectional area is very large in the power diode, because it has to be used in power applications. That means let us say 1000 volts and 1000 amperes. So it has to withstand um, high uh, power. So high current should flow through this device. That means the cross sectional area should be large. So the cross sectional area of power diodes can be in several square centimeters, or in some cases a single power diode is constructed from a wafer of 4-inch diameter. So it is very large wafer. So from that wafer only single power diode is constructed sometimes when the rating required is very large, very high. So the drift region is much longer in length as compared to other layer. So this is the drift region, which is the length of this drift region is very high. So which we will see later in this video why it is the case. Also the density of doping is very low as compared to other layers, because the density here is 10 to the power 14, and in other layers the density is 10 to the power 19. So why this is done? Drift region is made longer and density is very low. Why this is done? Because these factors increase the breakdown capability of a power diode and make it suitable for power applications. So what is breakdown capability means here? So suppose let's take an example. Suppose we have an AC source here and a power diode is connected here, and then we have a load, let us say it is 400 volts, so for the positive half cycle this power diode conducts in the forward direction, and when the negative half cycle comes, so this cycle is blocked by this power diode because the power diode is reversed biased. So in an ordinary diode, the characteristics is like this. We have voltage here and current here, and the characteristic goes like this, that in the forward direction this is exponential, and in the backward in the reverse direction a small current flows until the breakdown occurs for a device. So this is your breakdown voltage here, so in logic level diodes, this value of breakdown voltage may be 10 volts. Okay, but in power diode, the characteristics of the power diodes are is shown here. So in power diode, this breakdown voltage in the reverse direction may be, let us say, 1000 volts. Right, so this is the uh, this breakdown voltage capability, this breakdown capability, that means to ability to withstand large reverse voltages, that is the breakdown capability. So this increased greatly in the power diode because of longer drift regions and lower density of doping. So this is an important characteristics of power diode. Now the symbol of this power diode is same as the ordinary diode, and the characteristics are also very similar to the logic level diode, except that in the forward direction this region is not exponential, so this region is linear. So we have a linear region here. And also, as we just discussed, in the reverse direction the breakdown voltage value is very high, so let us say 400 volts or 1000 volts, depending upon the construction of the power diode. Now there are two types of diodes. One is punch through diode and one is non punch through diode. Now let us consider a power diode. So we have a p type region here, we have n type region here, n minus region here, and n plus region here. Now let us say we reverse bias this power diode. So what will happen? We have seen in our last in our earlier videos that when we reverse bias a p-n junction, because there is a p-n junction here, this is p plus here and n minus here. So when we reverse bias a p-n junction, then the length the width of the depletion region increases. So there will be some depletion region in the p side and some depletion region in the n side. So here we'll be having positive charges which are not free to move, as is the case with any depletion region. So in the n side we have positive charges, and on the p side we have negative charges which are not free to move. So let us say these are the widths at thermal equilibrium. So let us say this is your W naught, as we have seen in the previous videos. So if this is W naught and we apply some voltage, reverse voltage, let's say 100 volts, then what will happen to this depletion region? So the width of this depletion region will increase. So let us say we reach here, and on the P side also the width of the depletion region increases. Now if you keep on increasing this reverse bias voltage, if you keep on increasing until you get the breakdown voltage here. Okay, so let us say the breakdown voltage of this device is 800 volts. So let us say you reverse bias with 800 volts. So the depletion region width will be very large. Let us say it is here. Okay, so if we look at the characteristic of diode, so here we have breakdown voltage. So if we reach 800 volts, then the breakdown of this device will occur and this device will get destroyed. So this is the largest depletion layer width which we can get. Okay, so the width of the depletion region at the breakdown voltage is the largest, because after that the device will break down. So if the width of the depletion region at the breakdown voltage remains inside this region as seen with this example, then this is known as non-punch through diode. Okay, so if we apply breakdown voltage in the reverse and the width of this depletion region remains inside this n minus region, like in this example, then this diode is non-punch through diode. On the other hand, if this width of the depletion region increases to such an extent that it enters the n plus region, so if width at breakdown voltage enters the n plus region, then we say that it is a punch through diode, right? So this is what written here: width of the depletion region at breakdown voltage, if it is less than the drift region width, then we have a non-punch through diode, and if width of the depletion region at breakdown voltage is greater than drift region, like in this case, then it is a punch through diode. Now let us do some mathematics here and start from where we have already discussed in our last videos. These are some terms which we obtained in our last video. One is the width of the depletion region at a given voltage, is given by this, where V is the reverse biased voltage. Reverse biased voltage. Okay, so we can see here, if we reverse bias this voltage and we increase this voltage, then width of the depletion region increases. Now this W naught is given by this expression, where Na is the concentration of acceptor atoms in the p-type region, and Nd is the concentration of donor atoms in the in the n-type region. So this is donor atoms in the n-type region, this is acceptor atoms in the p-type region. Then we also discussed this Emax in our last video, which is also dependent upon the applied reverse biased voltage. Now we will discuss in this video about only non-punch through diode. So we will not discuss about the punch through diode, we will discuss only about the non-punch through diode. So what are the conditions during at breakdown? So at breakdown, E can be written as EBD, where EBD means electric field required for a breakdown in silicon, because mostly this material is silicon, except that some doping is done here. So EBD is nothing but the electric field required for a breakdown in a silicon material. So this is completely dependent upon the material. If we have air, for example, as a material, then EBD will be different. If we have silicon, then EBD will be different. Now put voltage as the breakdown voltage. So here what we are doing, we are putting V as the breakdown voltage. So if you do this here, if you put V as B breakdown voltage, written as BVBT, and then you take a square of it, okay, so you will get W square at breakdown voltage is equal to W naught square, written here, plus square of this whole with this. So if you make a square of it, so you will see that 1 is very small as compared to this quantity, because breakdown voltage is very high as compared to 1. So this 1 can be neglected and we get this expression here. Similarly, for the drift region, if you are seeing the drift region, then in this drift region, if the ND is very low, so ND is around 10 power 14 and Na is 10 power 19. So clearly Na is very large as compared to ND, so this can be neglected. So this portion is neglected with respect to Na, so we are left with Na here. Now this Na cancels out with this, okay, so finally we are left with this expression, 2 epsilon phi c divided by QND. So this is nothing but omega naught squared. So why we are doing this, it will be clear shortly. Now do the same thing for this Emax. So you can do this on in your notes. Put V equal to breakdown voltage, and then you will get this expression, EBD square is equal to 4 phi c by W naught BVBD. Now put this W naught square here, just put this W naught square here. So the breakdown voltage is equal to this quantity. Now here EBD is fixed for silicon, so this depends on material, so you can put that value. of EBD directly here. Epsilon is also a constant and Q is also a constant quantity. So if you put all these values, so we get this value of breakdown voltage. So what we can conclude from this expression, as the doping level of the n-type material reduces, then breakdown voltage increases, right? So this is a very important expression that we have derived, that by reducing the doping level of the drift region, the breakdown voltage increases. Okay, so why we are saying drift region? Because Na we have already taken as n plus, so that's why we have neglected Nd with respect to Na, so we have fixed this as n plus. Now if you do a little bit of rearrangement again, so you can easily reach to this expression. This is again an important expression, because uh, you know the value of EBD. You can put the value of EBD and then you get this expression. So this expression says that uh, if breakdown voltage increases, so what happened to the width of the depletion region? It increases. Okay, now if you want to accommodate this whole depletion region inside the drift region, so there are two things I am talking about. One is the drift region and one is the depletion region, that is the region where we have only positive charges, as we discussed in earlier videos. Now increasing the breakdown voltage uh, of the device, not this one, increasing the breakdown voltage of the device increases the width of the depletion region. Now if you want to accommodate this depletion region inside this drift region, that is, if you want your diode to be non-punch through, then what you have to do, you have to make n minus region longer. This is simple. If you have longer n minus region, to larger depletion layer width can be adjusted inside this. Okay, so this is the reason why the drift region is longer, and also this is the reason why drift region have low doping. Okay, so drift region is much longer in length and density of doping is very small, which results in increased in breakdown capability of power diode. Now what happens if the width of the depletion region is not accommodated in the drift region? What happens if this goes up to here? If this is punch through diode, then of course the reverse blocking capability of this diode reduces, and we cannot make diode with high voltage blocking capability. Now there is one concept of space charge layer curvature. So this is again an important concept regarding the construction of a power diode. So what happens is that first this n plus region is created. First this region is created, and then over it this n minus region is created, and then what happens, over it we diffuse acceptor impurities from here. So there is a window here, and there is silicon dioxide here, which is an insulator. So there is a window here from where the acceptor impurities diffuse into this region to make it a P plus type material, right? So if these acceptor impurities are diffused in this region, then let us say it diffuse from here, then in the lateral direction it diffused as fast as it diffuses in the vertical direction. So the diffusion in both the direction are same. Okay, so this result in curvature. Okay, so if if this would be the case that we have a window, the mask here, and from here this diffuse in this direction only, acceptor atoms diffuse in this direction only, then we will get this type of structure only, this type of P plus structure only. But this does not happen, because when the acceptor atoms diffuse, they diffuse laterally as well as vertically downwards. So the result is that we get a curvature here, and because of the curvature the breakdown capability of the device reduces, because the electric field here required for breakdown so this electric field reduces. Okay, so as a result, if you want to design this device for 1000 volt breakdown capability, so this will be reduced to say 800 volts because of this curvature. Okay, so there is a rule that if this radius r, which is the radius from the mask to the depletion layer, so this is p-type region, and then this is the depletion layer in the n-type material. Similarly, there will be some depletion region in the p plus type material, like this. So the total width of the depletion layer is this W. Now the rule is that if this r, this radius r, is greater than 6 times the width of the depletion layer at the breakdown voltage, if this is done, then reduction in the breakdown voltage is not very large. Okay, so if you do this, then breakdown voltage reduction is limited inside the 10%. That means if you are designing your diode for 1000 volts, then the 10% of it is 100 volts. Okay, so if you make your R greater than 6 times width, then the reduction is not more than this. Okay, so it may happen that some breakdown voltage is reduced, let us say to 950, but it will not go below 900. That's what it means. but it is also not feasible to make R very high. So what is the reason behind that? If suppose we have our breakdown voltage greater than 1000 volts, then making R greater than 6 times W is not feasible. Why? Because greater R requires uh, that acceptor atoms diffuse more, and so if acceptor atoms diffuse more like this, then R will be more, R will be greater. But if acceptor atoms diffuse less, then R will be smaller. But diffusion takes time, so it takes time for impurities to diffuse. So uh, we cannot put these devices for manufacturing uh, for longer times. So it will not be feasible. Otherwise, times will be very large to make a device. So what we do to to save time, we have two types of arrangements to increase R. One is to place field plates. So these are nothing but metallic plates placed over this diode, so that this radius of curvature does not go low. So there is one method is this. The detail of this method is not in this course. Another method is to provide guard rings. So these are isolated p-type sections created in the power diode. So these are isolated because on the top there is insulation. So because of these p-type materials, the radius of curvature does not go small. If you properly place these p-type materials, then R can be large. So this is one aspect of construction of power diode. Then there is another problem with the construction of power diode, that if the area is large, then depletion layers may contact the silicon surface here. So because of this large area of this, sometimes the depletion layer contact the silicon surface, and what happens then, I am talking about this depletion layer. So if this depletion layer is wide enough that it touches the silicon surface here, then there is some problem with the electric field, and there will be some fringing here, and because of this fringing, breakdown voltage capability reduces again. So to limit this, we need to provide contours rather than vertical structures. So we have to provide such contours or tapered structure, and sometimes we have to put insulator over these surfaces. So to keep our breakdown voltage from reducing, we need to do these arrangements. Now this is the very important concept in a power diode. Let us say we have this diode P plus, N minus and N plus, and apparently it appears that since this is the n minus region and the density of doping is very low, that is 10 power 14, so it appears that the resistance of this region will be very high. Why it will be high? Because the charge carriers are low, because the doping level is low, so resistance will be very high in this region. So if resistance of the device is high, then when the current flows through it, there will be I square R losses. I square R losses. So we say the on state power losses are high. So during on state, high current will flow through the diode and I square R losses will be high, so the efficiency will be low. But there is one phenomena known as conductivity modulation, because of which this resistance does not go very high, rather it remains low. So how it is, we will see shortly. So let us say we forward bias this diode. Okay, so because of the forward biasing, some holes will be injected from p-type region to n- type region, because this is a p-n junction here, so holes will move from p to n. So some holes will be injected from p plus region to n- region. Let us say that these number of holes are delta p. So from this region, some holes are injected in n- region, and if this delta p is small, these holes will recombine with the electrons in the n- region and will eventually fall to zero at some distance, let's say d distance. Okay, so this will be the curve when delta p is small. But if this delta p is large, okay, so what happens? So what are the majority charge carriers here? The majority charge carriers here are electrons, because this is the n-type region, but the density is low. But here the density is very high, it is 10 power 19, and here the density of free electrons is 10 power 14. So if delta p is high, so what will happen? They will attract electrons from n plus region. So almost equal number of electrons will be injected from n plus to the n minus region. Okay, so what I am saying is, if delta p injected from p plus region to n minus region is high, so they will attract almost equal number of electrons from n plus region, let's say delta n. So delta p equal to delta n. Right, so because these holes are very large, so they will enter the n minus region and they will reach the n plus region, and then when they move forward in n plus region, so here density of electrons is very high, so because of which they will recombine with the electrons, and then their they will reduce to zero. So these extra delta p will reduce to zero. Similarly, since it attracts equal number of delta n from n plus region, so the delta n electrons will go inside the n minus region, and they will not recombine completely in n minus region. They will reach the p region, so they will reach here. So these delta n which are attracted by delta p reach here, and then since the density of holes here is very high, it is 10 to the power 19, these electrons will quickly recombine with the holes in the p plus region and will go to 0. So delta n will become 0 here. Now because of this process, what happens that n minus region, it is filled with large number of free charge carriers, right? It is filled with delta p from left hand side, and it is filled with delta n from right hand side. Okay, so earlier the density of free charge carrier here was 10 to the power 14, but now the density of free charge carrier is much larger than that. It is approximately equal to Na or 10 to the power 16. So here we get a flat profile of free charge carriers with distance. So it is almost flat with a small dip in between. So the concentration of holes in the n minus region is almost equal to concentration of electrons in the n minus region, and which is equal to a number which is around 10 to the power 16. So because this n minus region is filled with large number of charge carriers, the recombination time tau, that is the time taken by a charge carrier to recombine in a region, this increases greatly, because now the charge carriers are not recombining quickly, they are taking some time to recombine. So this tau increases, and because of which the conductivity of this region increases. Conductivity increases. So since conductivity increases, the resistance of this region reduces greatly. So this is known as conductivity modulation, that because of injection of large number of holes from left hand side, and as a result the injection of large number of electrons from the right hand side in the n minus region, its resistance decreases greatly. Although by looking at it, it does not appear that the resistance is low, but actually the resistance of this region is very low. So because of which the power diode does not have high I square losses, R losses during the on period. Now let us do some maths to find out the current in the power diode. So first assume that we have to supply this current externally. We have to supply the current externally. Let us say we have to supply IF current externally to keep the n minus region stored with or filled with charges. Okay, so if n minus region is filled with charges, then holes keep on going here and keep on recombining. Similarly, electrons from this side keep on going here and keep on recombining. So this n minus region is always filled with large number of charges if we keep on providing this current, right? If we do not provide this current, then what will happen? With time, these charges which are filled here will recombine slowly and will become zero. Okay, so in order to maintain the stored charge QF, we have to provide some current externally. So let us say that current is IF. So that current is can be written as stored charge QF divided by the time taken to recombine. So QF by tau will be the IF. Now what is QF? As we have already seen, the density of holes which we have to provide is Na, which is 10 to the power 16. So this is the density of holes. Now this density multiplied by volume will give the total number of charges, the holes, total number of holes. So let us say the cross sectional area of this region is A, and the width of this region is WD. So what is the total volume of this drift region? So this will be A times WD. So this is the volume multiplied by the density of the charges. So these are the number of charges, and each charge have each hole have Q charge on it. So this is the total charge QF divided by tau. So we get this IF here. Now there is another way of finding this current. So as we have seen from our previous videos, that the total current density J, when we are talking about the drift current, is equal to J due to holes plus current density due to electrons, right? And we have also seen that from Ohm's law, J is equal to sigma E, where E is the electric field, applied electric field. Now this JH can be written in terms of mobility of holes. We have already seen this, which is Q mu P times electric field E. Okay, this divided by area A. So this is the total. Sorry, A is not here. So this is the current density due of holes. Similarly, current density of electrons will be Q mu N times E. Okay, now what is the electric field in this region? If voltage across it is Vd, so if voltage across it is Vd, so the average electric field will be voltage divided by the width of the region. So the average electric field will be Vd divided by WD, right? So you just put this value of electric field here and here, so you will get this expression, right? So since we are here talking about current, total current, and here it is current density, so we also have to multiply it by the area. Okay, so I hope it is clear. If it is not clear, then please write down in the comment section below. I will try to answer your queries. Now equate these two equations which you have just obtained and do a little bit of math, and you can easily find out this expression. So Vd is Wd square by mu n plus mu p tau. So this is an important expression which says that as in the drift region tau is high. Okay, so in the drift region tau is high. So what about what about Vd? So Vd will be low. So the drop across the drift region is low. So this is advantage, because when the diode is in on condition, then the voltage drop across it should be as low as possible. So let us say we have this circuit with load, then in on condition the voltage drop across it, the diode, should be as low as possible. So why this is happening? Because of the conductivity modulation. Because of conductivity modulation, tau is increased, and because of which Vd is reduced. Now there is one more phenomena which occurs in the power diode, and this is also important. So we said that when delta P is large, when delta P is high, it attracts high delta N from the N side, so this reduces R, right? But there is another phenomena which limits this R reduction when delta P is very high. So if delta P is very high, what happens that too many charges are filled in this region. So if too many charges are filled in this region, they will start to collide with each other, and they will also start to collide with the crystal structure. So because of which some of them starts recombining in the n minus region. So what happens that the mobility starts to reduce at very high currents. So mobility is reduced due to increased carrier scattering when Na is large. Na large means when this value is large. So mobilities can be written in terms of Na like this. So you have to remember this expression where Nb is a constant value 10 to the power 17. You just write this in terms of mu n plus mu p here. So you will get this expression, right? Now you can also write this part as, so you can also write this part as Nb plus Na divided by Nb. Now if Na is very large as compared to Nb, so you can neglect Nb. So this expression will become Na divided by NB, right? Now this Na cancels out with this Na, and we are only left with NB. And then you a little bit of rearrangement in your notes, so you will get this expression, right? So in this expression, this is the forward current, or current in the forward biased mode. This WD is constant because WD is the width of the drift region. This is constant. Q is constant. Mu naught is a constant, and NB is a constant value, and area of the device is constant. So the terms multiplied with the current here is constant. So this whole is the resistance, or on state resistance, R on. So we get this expression, Vd is If times R on. So where Vd is the voltage drop in the drift region. Now if you look at the total voltage across the diode, so there is one voltage across the depletion layer, which is Vj, and then there is one voltage drop across the drift region, which is Vd. So the net voltage across the diode will be Vj plus Vd. Now this is the reason that this region in the forward direction is not exponential in power diode, rather it is a linear curve. So here you can see Vd and If has linear relationship. Okay, so the slope of this curve is 1 divided by R on. In ordinary diodes studied earlier, current is dependent upon the voltage exponentially. Let us now discuss about the switching behavior of the power diode. Now suppose that this is our diode and it is not biased, that means no forward or reverse bias voltage is applied on this. Then the depletion region width will be the width in the thermal equilibrium. So we have denoted this width with the symbol W naught. So this is W naught. Now this because of this depletion region, which is having positive charge at one end and negative charges at the other end, a capacitance is formed, denoted here by CSC. So the value of this capacitance is given as epsilon A, where A is the area of the plates of a capacitor, of parallel plate capacitor, and W is the distance between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor. So if we have a parallel plate capacitor like this, then if the area of these plates is A, and the distance between the plate is W, and the dielectric constant of the medium between the plate is epsilon, then the capacitance is given by this expression. So this is the capacitance. Then we have this drift region which is having some resistance. So this resistance of this drift region is given by Rd, and then this diode will be embedded in some external circuit, and that external circuit will have some inductance also. So that inductance is shown by L. For example, in many cases diodes are connected in series with inductances. So there is inductance and then there is diode connected, so that when some switch is turned off, so the current through the inductance freewheels through this diode. So many a times power diode is used as a freewheeling diode. Then the circuit will have this much inductance. Okay, and then there are also inductance of the connecting wires, so that all of those inductances are incorporated in the inductance shown here. Now what happens to this capacitance when the diode is reverse biased? So let us say we reverse bias this diode. So what will happen to this depletion region? The width of the depletion region will increase. So what will happen to the capacitance? The area remains constant, because area is the cross-sectional area. So cross-sectional area of these plates remain constant. Okay, so you get the idea. Now W is the width of the depletion region. So if we reverse bias this capacitance, this W increases and the value of this capacitance reduces. Now if you reverse bias this diode, so the width of the depletion region increases, so we get more positive charges here, right, and we get more negative charges here, which are not free to move, they are immobile. Now after the reverse bias, if you make it forward biased, so some current will flow, some forward current will flow in this, and this forward current will discharge these charges. Okay, so these charges will be removed when the forward current will flow, and first the depletion region width goes to W naught again, and then as current keeps on flowing, this width of depletion region reduces further. Okay, so for clarity let me draw it again. So let us say the depletion region was here because of the reverse bias voltage, and this is width of the depletion region at the thermal equilibrium, and this value is the width of the depletion region when it is reverse biased. Let us say it is WR. So when you forward bias this diode, so what will happen? This forward current IF will flow, and this forward current will reduce this depletion region. First it will go from WR to W naught, then we say that it has reached the thermal equilibrium value, and then it reduces further. So the depletion region reduces further, as we have discussed in the previous lectures. So it will become, let us say, WF, the width of the depletion region when it is forward biased. right? So why we are discussing all this? Because these things are very important when we are discussing about the switching behavior of diodes. Now here is the waveform showing the switching behavior of diode. So when the diode was reversed bias, the voltage waveform is showing the negative voltage across the diode. Let us say it is minus of VR, or a reverse bias voltage VR. Then you forward bias this diode. So let me draw this diode here. So we have P plus here, then we have N minus, and then we have N plus. Now you forward bias this diode. So what will happen to the voltage across the diode? This voltage. So at first the forward current flows, which is IF, which is varying with respect to time, IFT. So this forward current flows and it rises linearly. Okay, why it rises linearly? Because at first it has to make this depletion region, which was having larger width, to equilibrium value, as we have just discussed. So it takes some time before this depletion region goes to thermal equilibrium value again, and then after that it becomes forward biased. So it starts getting forward biased, so the depletion region width further reduces to a value, let us say WF. Okay, and there is inductance in the circuit. So this inductance does not allow the current to go high instantaneously, so it takes some time to charge these capacitances here, and this is shown with this curve. So we are having a slope of the forward current given by dIF by dt. Now what happens to the voltage uh, in this duration? The voltage across this diode is due to the two values. One is the voltage across this, which is IFRD, shown here, and another is voltage across this inductor, which is shown here by LDIF by dt. Now the voltage across the capacitance is very small as compared to the voltages here, so we are neglecting the voltage in the capacitor. So VFP can be written as IFRD plus LDIF by dt. Now since it takes some time to again make this depletion region equal to the thermal equilibrium value, and then the forward biased depletion region situation, so it takes time to do that. Therefore the voltage does not rises instantaneously to the forward bias voltage, so because it was reverse bias voltage earlier. Okay, so this is shown here, reverse bias voltage earlier. Now we have applied forward bias voltage and this capacitance is charging, so it is taking some time to move to the forward bias position. Okay, now in ordinary diode, when the diode becomes forward biased, it just goes like this. Okay, so it does not show this peak behavior, right? But in power diode this behavior is observed. So this is very significant, which can uh, increase the power loss in the diode, because in ordinary diode this voltage is around 1 volt or close to this 1 volt, but in power diode this voltage can go up to, let us say, 10 volts or 15 volts. So you can see that during this period, if this voltage is high and there is also some current, so there is huge power loss. So we have to study this peak. So what happens is that due to this df by dt, there is some inductance here. So because of this we are having some uh, factor added to the forward bias voltage. So since there is some positive df by dt, voltage is higher than normal. So because of this factor we are having high voltage, plus when this diode is forward biased, uh, the conductivity modulation has not yet take place. Okay, so we have discussed conductivity modulation earlier in this video. So in the beginning, the forward current is not high enough to start the conductivity modulation. That is, the holes that are injected into the n minus region are not high enough to attract very high number of electrons from here. Okay, so this can be shown, this can be seen in this curve, that we are getting a small delta p which is getting recombined in this n minus region and then going to 0, and as a result of this delta p, a small delta n uh, enters from n plus side to n minus side, and it is recombining with the holes, and they are falling to 0. But if current rises further, that is, if this delta p rises further, this will result in more delta n. So with time we get curve like this, that delta p is going like this, and then as a result delta n is going like this, and then with more time we get this curve where delta p starts reaching the other side, the positive side, n plus side, and then it is recombining. Similarly, in response to this, the delta n start reaching the p plus side, and then it is recombining with the holes and disappearing. So we have already discussed this conductivity modulation. So this graph is showing how the uh, uh, charge carriers build up inside the drift region. So we can see that delta p is increasing with time, and delta n is also increasing with time, until we get this curve, this flat, nearly flat curve with Na equal to 10 to the power 16 per centimeter cube. Now, because when this conductivity modulation has not taken place in the beginning, the Rd is high. The Rd is high. So because of which we are getting a high peak in voltage here. Okay, now when the current becomes high and it becomes constant, because the diode has forward biased completely and the depletion region has reached uh, to the width of WF, the forward bias width of the depletion region, then current becomes constant when large number of delta P starts to entering from here, and large number of delta n starts entering from n plus region to n minus region. So this will this conductivity modulation will reduce RD. So there is reduction in RD. Okay, the resistance drops, and since IF becomes constant, this value goes to 0. This value goes to 0. So what is the resultant? The resultant effect of this is that this whole value becomes lower. So it as charges fills up in this region, RD keeps on decreasing and this voltage keeps on decreasing until we get this stage, and in this stage the voltage keeps on rising, and up to this stage the voltage becomes almost constant. So this is the point where uh, IF is of course constant, but the n minus region is completely filled with uh, holes and electrons, and conductivity modulation is complete, so we get low voltage here. So I hope you get the point. Now suppose that uh, at some time at the beginning of T3 we try to reverse bias this diode. Okay, so up to here we had switch on behavior, so this was all switch on behavior, and then this behavior was not the transient, this was when the diode is working in the on state, and then this region is the turn off behavior, how the diode behaves when we turn off the diode. So if we try to reverse bias this diode in the beginning of time T3, so what will happen? So we have reverse bias this diode. So the voltage across the diode does not becomes negative instantaneously. Why it does not becomes negative? Because the diode is still forward biased, it is not reverse bias rate yet. We have applied the reverse bias voltage, but the diode has not turned off yet. So since it has not turned off yet, the voltage across it is not negative. So what is required to turn off this diode? The requirement is that first these charges which are stored here, these charges must be removed from the n minus region. Okay, if these charges are not removed, then this depletion region cannot reach to blocking state. So this is very important. If these charges filled here are not removed, then this depletion region cannot go back to blocking state. Okay, or it cannot go back to here, where this value is WR, reverse bias width of the depletion region. So how to remove these charges? The obvious answer of this is that we have to uh, take current out of this device so that these charges are swept out of this device, right? So if you reverse bias this, then a negative current will start flowing. So current will start flowing in this direction, IF, and this negative current will sweep out the negative charges from the drift region, and then the distribution of charges will look like this. With time, the charges reduces. Okay, so initially it was the forward current was flowing in this direction. Now we are sweeping out the current in the negative direction, and there is inductance in the circuit, so the current does not becomes negative instantaneously. It follows a linear curve. So the current first reduces with the rate dir by dt, where ir means reverse current and if means here the forward current. So the current is reduced to 0, and even if the current is reduced to 0, the charges are not removed from the n minus region. The current becomes negative and the charges starts to remove from the n minus region. Now when this current becomes negative current becomes very high, known as IRR, reverse recovery current. This is known as reverse recovery current, the highest value of the current in the negative direction. When the charges becomes low, so inductor cannot keep on holding the current with this rate because the charges have become very low. So current starts to go back to its zero value. Right, so you can see this with the help of some examples. Suppose that we have a pipe, okay, and the water is flowing in this pipe, right? Now there is some water inside this, and we have to remove this water. So what you have to do, you have to make the flow negative first, right? Then if you make the flow negative, then this water will be swept out of this pipe. But when most of the water is swept out from this pipe, let us say only this much water is remaining, then this flow reduces, right? This flow reduces. This flow cannot have the same rate as before because the water is very low. So this happens here, the current rate is negative and constant, but then when charges become very low, so this current then goes to 0. So if you have still any doubt about this, please write in the comment section. I will try to answer it. Now if you look at this, then this time period is shown with time t4 when the current in the negative direction have negative slope, and this time is t5 during which the current in the negative direction have positive slope. So this whole time is known as reverse recovery time. Okay, why it is called as reverse recovery time? Because we are sweeping out all the charges and we are trying to recover the depletion region to its reverse bias state again. So this is TRR, so we can see that this is a triangle with TRR base and IRR height. So the area under the curve must be the charge swept out by the negative current. So the total charge will be half base into height, which is IRR TRR by 2. Okay, so this is reverse recovery charge. Now there are two components of the stored charges, right? When we were talking about this charge QF, we mean all the extra charges which are filled inside the n minus region, right? So some of this charge is removed by reverse current, so we call that charge which is removed by reverse current as QRR. Then there is some small amount of charge which will be lost due to recombination, because holes and electrons will recombine also. So there is some small amount of charge which will be lost due to recombination, and then there is some charge which is removed by reverse current. So this plus this should be equal to the total stored charge, right? So this is important to know that this is not the total charge which is removed by the reverse current. There is some small amount of charge which is removed by recombination. Now, as the charges are removed, the voltage again gains, the uh, depletion region again regain its blocking capability, and it again uh, acquire the width WR, right? And then the voltage go reverse, then the voltage becomes negative. Then again, because there is some inductance in the circuit, we are getting this peak because of this inductance in the circuit. Okay, and then as the current becomes constant again, this inductive part becomes 0, so the reverse voltage becomes constant again. Now there is one factor known as snapping factor, which is given by T5 divided by T4. So snapping factor S is given by T5 divided by T4, which we will be using uh, in the expressions, in our expressions. Now, what is the value of reverse recovery current? So reverse recovery current can be seen here as uh, let us say this is your T4. So this value is T4, and what is this value? The slope is dir by dt, right? So this slope can also be calculated as perpendicular divided by base. So IRR divided by T4 is the slope, which is nothing but dir by dt. So this is shown here. IRR can be written as dir by dt times T4. Now in terms of snapping factor, T4 can be written as TRR minus T5, right? This TRR minus T5 is T4. So this is written as TRR minus T5 so this is T4. Now you divide it by T4. So divide this by T4, divide this by T4, divide this by T4. Now you rearrange this in terms of T4. So you will get T4 is equal to so this is your snapping factor S. So T4 equal to TRR divided by S plus 1. So we have just rearranged this and written here. Now QRR we have already calculated, the charge which is swept by the negative current. This is IRR TRR by 2. So just put this value of IRR in here and we'll get this expression. Now from here we can find out the value of TRR in terms of QRR. So this is the value of TRR in terms of QRR, and similarly we can get this value of IRR, I reverse recovery. We have to further assume that QRR is almost equal to QF. So we discussed that QF is equal to QRR plus Q recombination plus Q recombination. But we are assuming that the charges removed by recombination is very low as compared to the charges removed by reverse recovery current. So we say that QRR is almost equal to QF. Now we know the value of QF from our previous slides, that forward current can be written as QF by tau. So we can write QF as IF into tau. So you just put it here. So we get that QRR is equal to IF times tau. Also this S, value of S is very low, so we can say that S plus 1 is almost equal to 1, and then you put these values here and here. So you will get these values. So these expressions, these two expressions give important details about these switching behavior. So if reverse current rate is high, if this is high, then TRR is low, right? But if this rate is high, then IRR is high, right? That means if you apply a larger negative bias voltage here, let us say you apply minus 100 volts, right? Then you get, suppose you get this curve. Now if you apply minus 500 volt, for example, then you will get a steeper curve. So this dir by dt will be higher. This dir by dt will be higher for large negative reverse bias voltage, and if this dir by dt is higher, then the charges will be removed quickly. So this TRR will be smaller, right? This is what this expression means. If dir by dt is higher, the rate of change of reverse current is higher, then TIR is lower. So the charges will be removed more quickly. And what about IRR? If this rate is high, IRR increases. The maximum negative voltage, the maximum negative current increases. So this IRR increases. Right, so the duration of peak reduces, but the magnitude of peak increases. So this expression says that if you have higher breakdown voltage, then tau will be higher. So if tau will be higher, holes and electrons will take more time to recombine, and they will take more time to turn on and turn off. Okay, so if they are taking more time to turn on and turn off, then that means the device is slower. So what the one conclusion drawn from this is that high breakdown voltage devices are slower than low breakdown voltage devices. So there is a trade-off. Either you can go for higher breakdown voltage or you can go for faster devices. Concluded from here directly that higher breakdown voltage require larger lifetimes, and this we have already discussed, that turn off time, that is TRR, is shortened by large dir by dt, but IRR is increased. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to come to this conclusion and write it in your notes, and then complete the notes of this video and submit it as your fourth assignment.